Hi, this is Dr. Craig, and on board. I'm actually broadcasting from a motel room. I was down here in hot Gainesville. My word, the temperature it's like was 98 degrees yesterday. So I'm going to interview Jacqueline Pena, waiting for her to get on board here. I'm using StreamYard, and I'm going to take the audio from StreamYard and put it into my podcast. So we have a few things to talk about today. Dr. Jacqueline Pena uh, has her own podcast. She does consulting and a lot of other interesting things, which we'll get into. Here she is now. Hi. Hold on.
Hi.
Let me get. All right. I think you're there. Can you hear me? Whoops. Hello?
There I am. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Perfect.
Are you there?
I am.
Okay. I had a little problems clicking on this. Like I said, let me try this one. Hold on. Should get you where you're a little larger here in the.
There.
There you go. Okay. And I put your all your good stuff up here,
Oh, thank you.
JacquelinePenna.com. Jacqueline Penna. Can
Yes.
you see that?
Yes, I can
Okay,
see it.
that's good.
Oh, that's
I
really cool.
I can
Thank
see it
you.
too, and I'm a lot older than you. So,
Well, just
what
in
I was
case I
saying in
have
the
my
beginning, as I you have your what?
I have my glasses just in case we need them at any point.
Uh, well, I'm in denial. But before I clicked on you, I was talking about some of the things you were doing and so forth. And I didn't mention that we met on Podcast Movement, I believe, on Facebook. I think that was it. And I think we were looking for people to interview. I believe that's what brought us together was on the interview, right?
Hmm.
Okay, so um, we have some similarities on what we're doing. You're doing a lot more than what I'm doing right now in terms of consulting and some of your other book publishing, which I saw on Amazon. That was really neat. I would love to do that, but I want you to discuss some of the things that you do, what your passion is, which I'm sure it's most of the things that you do, how you got started, and where you are right now. So you have the floor.
Oh boy. Well, good morning for those of you who are Eastern Standard Time and across the country. It's still morning, and I'm still caffeinating, and it's 11 o'clock for me. But I definitely I got started in following my more independent pathway about a year and a half ago. I was working full time. I come from higher education. I love education. I still work very closely with different schools. And I was looking for an opportunity to follow some of my dreams and my passions, and also to take a little flex time off, time to try out different lifestyles and be able to try different things, moving from a very high stress, high pressure situation. So it was perfect timing. I got rid of that veil of fear that we all have. I think a lot of us are afraid to start new ventures, and was able to publish my first book. My second book comes out in August. I hope a small workbook. And the first one is the 90-day reflection journal. That's available on my website and also in my LinkedIn bio. But I really wanted to get out there and keep helping as many people as possible in pursuing their dreams and succeeding at whatever endeavors they're trying to succeed in. It's what my focus was and my purpose in higher ed, and it's what I continue outside of that. And so the books are meant to do that. I do consulting with schools and organizations, whether we're building some infrastructure, because I love the big picture and the small moving parts, so HR and all that. But I still also work with the humanities, with research, with accreditation, all kinds of work with schools. And that's my consulting side. So I got to do all those pieces I love. And then in my coaching side, I work with a few clients one-on-one, whether we're looking at career changes or trying to look at long-term goals and prioritize them, and then set up our lives in a way that helps us meet those goals. So I do a lot of that coaching as well. And then the publishing, the podcasting, it's my way of putting content out there. I try to put as much content out there for free as possible, resources, so that we can access it no matter what. And then the books themselves, which I try to publish at low cost, and I do some giveaways virtually in Instagram and Facebook as well.
Well, looking at your setup, your web page is great. Me and web pages is like water and oil. I'd have to get somebody to do it. I imagine, did you set up that web page or did you have somebody do it?
Yeah, so I did it. I'm actually gonna keep trying to make it better. Here's some of those tips for anyone who's interested in pursuing their own adventures, career wise, or professionally, like the two of us, Craig. I mean, I took time to learn how. I try to figure out how to use WordPress and created a website, and I keep learning new things each day. Same thing with podcasting. I did a lot of research. I listened to a lot of people, and then I just said, you know what, let's just get started. And I got started. So yeah, so I did the website myself. I'm trying to use this time to learn as much as I can with all the activities I'm doing.
Well, I'll try it, but eventually if I get into it, it'll be like, it'll be one of those. So, but I did look on your site and you have like Linktree. It's called Linktree.
Yes, yes.
A link.
Mm-hmm. It's weird. It's like linktr.ee. If anyone's listening and interested.
Right.
And it's a great way for any of us to have multiple links on Instagram. But if you don't have one website, that can be your website. So each tab is a link to something. So if you're selling something on Amazon, that can be one link. And so it's a way of bringing multiple links or web pages into one space. And since Instagram limits you to one link, it's a great way for you to have multiple links that stay there.
I like that. I think I'll do that before the web page.
I'll help you.
Because then I can put my races on there, and then I could put Patreon link and buy a cup of coffee, all that stuff in one place, and I really like that. That's great. And that leads me into what we're doing is the networking and how important networking is, because I might have a few ideas that you haven't heard about and vice versa. Like I'm explaining or stating the link tree and some of the things that you do. I didn't know anything about it. So the networking is very, very important. And then you can expand on that. So I like continual learner, and you have your doctorate in, I forget now.
That's okay. I did it in curriculum and instruction, and my master's in English lit. So I'm a humanities person, English lit, but I wanted to do more in higher ed.
Well, I still think both of this are continual learners. I think you have to be like that to engage in your passion, because we discussed this before we got online, is there's a lot of people who, and I call it the plan B, their fear of failure is so much that they work so hard. Like there's some podcasters wait a whole year before post anything because they want to get it perfect. And to me, is that what? Oh, okay. Not me. I said, wait. It's like, here it is. I'll adjust it. And I even said on my podcast, they said, I know I got a couple bloopers in here, but I'm learning. And what I tell them is, I said, I jumped into this. I'm just not talking it, I'm walking it. And I said, you need to jump to and try it and tweak it as you go along. That's how I look at it. But yeah, if if you try to make it perfect, that's fine. I try and learn as I go and do it that way. Um, and it works for me. How, when you say perfect, what, you wait a while to get something either published or change a new protocol or something like that?
That's a great question. And you also talked about networking. I wanted to talk a little bit about that as well. But in terms of, I think my fear kept me from starting the podcast. It was a dream. I knew January 2019 that I wanted to start a podcast. I put it on my website coming soon in February or March. And I didn't officially of 2019, and I didn't officially launch until June 2020. And it's been amazing. I've met so many amazing people, and I didn't go the perfectionist way. I'm trying to make it better as I go, but I had to let go of that fear. So the fear just holds me back from getting started, and I noticed that that's true for a lot of us. We want to write that book, but we are our own worst enemy. We want to start that podcast, but we don't start taping because we want it to be perfect because we have all this fear that holds us back. And I had to let go of that fear. So that's the perfectionist part. It's more fear. I want to get it right, but you won't get it perfect. Perfection doesn't exist.
Well, I'm on Anchor, and Anchor, you can use your phone. Oops, there it is, to
Mm-hmm.
broadcast. Well, the first time, and it's very good. First time I'm like this, and I'm like, okay, say something. It was really tough till I got used to it, because I'm used to like talking one on one or to a group of students, something like that. But when you're on this and I don't have somebody I'm interviewing, I'm just staring at myself. I had to put a screen up so I wasn't looking at my movement and so forth. So I wasn't going, like, you'll see some people on this, they'll look down at their notes, they'll look up, they'll look over because they don't want to look at themselves on the screen. But now it's great because I just stare at you instead of staring at myself. But there's things you learn, and it gets easier, but you do have screw ups.
Yeah, and the learning process is what's important. Enjoy it. I think we lost Craig, but I'll talk a little bit about the learning process and the networking since we are live and we're going to put this out there. But Craig and I met through Podcast Movement, and I'm on two groups for podcasters. That's been great because you can put out questions to other people in the group to see what they think about different platforms or different strategies and things of that sort. So you definitely want to network. And in these times, in these COVID times, a lot of the networking we're doing is virtual. And that's great because you have an opportunity to get a bigger reach with the virtual networking. I'm talking about
I'm back.
networking while you're working on that. So I was just saying that it's great to do that networking virtually and you have a bigger reach in terms of people you can network with. But it's through networking and through research that you try out new things. I never knew about StreamYard. I wonder how people were able to do these Facebook Lives the way we're doing it now. And Craig was the one who taught me about StreamYard. So thank you so much, Craig, because now I know I have another tool I can use. And Anchor, I'm trying Anchor. I have two podcasts. So Coffee and an Interview is the main one out there right now. It's really nice. You learn from different people about different aspects of life. It's an interview show where we're having coffee and just talking. And so you can listen to that on iTunes, SoundCloud, but I'm starting one for our book club as well. And that one I decided to do on Anchor. So I'm trying out different tools because of the recommendations of people in my network now as a podcaster.
Well, you're exactly right. I like StreamYard because we can do the video, but it also pulls the audio that you can put into your podcast. But when you're doing the video, you have to pay attention that the podcast people can't see what you're doing. So you have
Mm-hmm.
to like say, I'm holding this, and that kind of stuff. So I'm getting used to that. But you also do Zoom.
Mm-hmm.
You seem to be more of an expert with Zoom, and I'm like different places like Florida. Uh, the virtual school in Florida uses Zoom a lot, and I know a couple teachers, they use Zoom. They have to use Zoom, and you can get like 50 to 100 people, I guess, on the screen. How does that work for you?
That's really a great question. So I've been using Zoom for webinars and for large group meetings and for special events, like when someone is presenting. So it's not quite the same as a podcast episode or what we're doing now, streaming live. And I use it for close groups. So maybe you have to RSVP to be there, or maybe it's a special session for 3 days. I did a 3-day conference for faculty at 2 institutions. And so that was a closed session, 3 days just for them. And we had special speakers and special meetings. So it works nicely because I have it password protected. Only the people who are supposed to be there can go into those sessions. I could do breakout rooms, just like in a classroom where I split folks up into small groups or at a conference session. I could do the same thing in Zoom and put people in different rooms, and then I could walk in and out virtually out of the rooms and help them with whatever they're working on. So there are some advantages, and there's a chat feature, but it doesn't do what we're doing now. So we're live at the same time as we're recording, and we can have audience
Right.
members with StreamYard. So you just have to know what you want to do. With Zoom, you can actually now go live. I apologize. You actually can. I just haven't done it. And I think you could do it through Facebook and YouTube as well. StreamYard, I believe, is a free service, right, Craig? And Zoom is...
They have a free service. I have the pro because then I can put banners up like the ones you see on the screen here.
Yeah.
So I went to pro because then I thought it was an advantage that I have your name up here and the banner going across the bottom and so forth. And you can also put videos. Like, in other words, if we're talking here, I could say, well, Jacqueline has a video on such and such, and then I can switch to the video and people can see it and then switch back. So that's why I picked the pro one.
Okay, that makes sense.
So
I
if
did
you
the same
have
thing
like,
with Zoom.
what's that?
I'm so sorry. I said I did the same thing with Zoom. I purchased a more pro or business package. There's a free version, but you can't have more than one other person for over 40 minutes.
Right. Right. Well, and you can also, if you have like a video or say you did something with on a certain topic and it's like 3 minutes long, then you can bring it up and everybody can see it, and then you get back to the interview again. So I'm still learning with it, but I like it because the audio I can pull out of it and put it on Anchor and everything. And when I registered for like 15 different podcast sites, my download just went through the roof. I had like 3 weeks ago, 60 downloads, and I'm up to 780.
Wow.
So we can go over that later on. If you want to go over that later on, how to put your podcast and all these different, I go to podnews.com and it tells you everything that's going on. And I can see that you're writing that down. That's good.
I take a lot of notes. Yeah. So I take notes to help me focus because I have focusing issues.
Right.
I also I take out a lot of notes because I'm always learning new things, and I appreciate that people always teach me new things.
Well, that's the way to go. I do the same thing. I do a lot of research, and I have notes all over the place and links and all that crazy stuff. And trying to get YouTube. I do like a lot of my races, running and cycling. Some of the videos I do are some of the people that run, and it's tough to get 1,000 subscribers. Like if you want to monetize on YouTube, you have to have 1,000 subscribers. I'm like, holy mackerel, I don't know how you could do that. You really have to push it. And I'm not there yet with all the different things on YouTube. Everything flashes across the screen and this comes up and subscribe comes up. And I'm like, how do these people do this stuff? You know, they just have to keep going and going, because some of them that I listen to, well, it took me 5 years to get to this point. So you got to keep going at it. That's the way I look at it.
That's a good point about monetizing and subscribers. And you were about to say, I'm sorry, I interrupted you.
No, go ahead.
No, that some people go into the YouTube and the podcasting, and some people call it vodcasting, VOD. when it's
Yeah.
video. So some people go into the vodcasting and podcasting to monetize. And that's not as easy anymore, because there's so many of us out there as it used to be. But it also has to do with getting downloads, listeners, subscribers, and then being able to get sponsorship or marketing, or ads and that kind of thing to be able to monetize. So it's important, I think, to know if you're trying to, if your goal is to monetize your work, your podcast or your podcast, or if it's a vehicle sharing information that's tied to something else. So if you're looking at this within a business model, what's your purpose? But it's a lot. I work with a company, I'm consulting with a group, and they're blogging now. And one of the articles is there's nothing passive about passive income. And a lot of people call this passive income, but it's not passive. It's a lot of work. You have to get subscribers. You have to have new material going
Right.
up. You're learning this now. I'm learning this. So I think that's a great article. It's from JBS. I think their website is jbscorp.net. And I can put that in
Okay.
the chat. But that's something that to think about. What is your purpose? Because you have to align your time and what you're doing to that purpose.
Well, Anchor has some monetization, and I think I'm at $4.68. And my wife, the last time I think I was at $3, it went to 4.68. She goes, "Oh, that's great. I mean, we could go to the Bahamas on that money." I said, "Just but but the way you have to do it, from what I understand, is affiliate marketing. A lot of podcasters do affiliate marketing where, like Fiverr, Amazon, like your book is on Amazon. Amazon, you can do affiliate marketing, but uh, they reduce the percentage that you get. It was like 4 or 5, now it's like down to 2%.
Mm-hmm.
But it's easy to get type of monetization, but you really have to push it. Like the passive isn't passive. It's like you have to push and talk about it. That's what I like about StreamYard, because I can put the link and so forth at the bottom. I can run a little video about Fiverr or freelancing or ConvertKit, which is for email marketing. I don't know if you do any email marketing or not, but there's, you know, MailChimp and all the other
Mm-hmm.
stuff.
Yeah, I'm starting with
So
MailChimp.
you,
I have a few subscribers. That's another great tip, Craig, doing email marketing as well. I think it's an untapped
right.
area for a lot of us. We rely so much on social media, but I think the return on investment, if you're selling anything, especially, is really through email marketing, is what we're seeing. I don't know if that's changed now that we're in COVID-19, and how we operate has changed, drastically over the last few months, but definitely email marketing.
Yeah, the email, they have landing pages, a whole bunch of stuff. It's not, the technology today is great, but people don't realize it's only as good as what you put into it or what you add to it. It's to save you time, but you don't save any time in the beginning, because I was on one site, and well, IMBD, which is owned by Amazon, to get my podcast on, I had to go to a YouTube tutorial. And you want to talk about a nightmare. If this guy didn't explain it, you wouldn't be able to figure it out. Finally, I got it figured out after they kept bringing up the red things that said, you need to do this, you need to do that. I finally corrected it and I got on it, but I had to go to a tutorial on YouTube, which has every tutorial known to mankind on there. And I would put up the tutorial on one side and my, application on the other side, stop the tutorial, go over and do what he said, go back to the tutorial, because it's really complicated. So maybe it's just me. It was tough. Some of them are real easy, like I can explain to you later, like tune in radio. I got on there. You just put your URL of your podcast, and you're good to go. But this one was
Mm.
tough. So people that people that want to pursue their passion and so forth, they just have to keep plugging at it. They have to research, you know this, and they really have to like it. When I say passion, you really have to like what you're doing. Okay. And I basically got into the running and cycling to do something that I liked, but I had control of it because in my 20 years in business and 20 years teaching, you get annoyed at some people that thought they knew more than you and didn't want to ask you for your expertise. And you're like, you know, who are you? Like, so you want to take control. And if you fail, it's because you failed, not because somebody else told you what to do and it wasn't the right thing to do. So that's
Mhm.
where I'm coming from. You probably, um, since you're a lot younger, you have a lot of things that you want to do that interest you. But I have a lot of different trials and tribulations that made me want to have a plan B of my passion. So that's why I'm doing what I'm doing. So if I fail at it, it's because I screwed up. So that's how I look at it.
Mm. You talk about failure, and I think the other thing, well, passion. If you can figure out your passion and your purpose, that is going to be your drive, your motivation, your cup of coffee, your caffeine, to really put in the time it takes to learn how to do certain things so you're able to get that work out there. So if you want a podcast because you really want to get some information or topic out there, it's that passion for that topic that should motivate you. Failure is going to happen. I think I was raised to be afraid of failure. I don't know why. That's just something I've always had inside of me. And so many people have taught me that failure is part of life. It's actually failure. We need a new name for it. It's when you try something, it doesn't work out, you learn a lesson and you try it a different way, or you try something different, or you figure out, you know what, that's not really aligned to my passion. I thought I liked that, but it's not. And I think we're so scared of failure, and I mean, you don't want to lose all your money and your house and everything, so you have to be a little strategic. You don't want to go crazy either and put everything in one pot. But what, and some people do. I don't have the guts for it. But failure, it's okay. I told myself it's okay if I put a book out there and it doesn't sell. At least I tried, and maybe I could learn something from it. It's okay if I put a podcast and something goes wrong, or it doesn't succeed, or I don't get listeners. Maybe it's not, maybe I did something wrong. Maybe it's not the right topic. What do I tweak? What do I do? And we have to be comfortable with failure. I'm not, I mean, I'm learning to be comfortable, but part of this idea of following our passions and our dreams and doing stuff, whether it's a side hustle, maybe, you and I talked about that. Maybe we keep our full-time job and we create something that's our side hustle, or maybe we leave our job and we go full into some adventure, or some economic venture, I should say, some kind of a small business. We shouldn't be afraid of failure. We should think of it as, how do I learn and get better? It's always about continuous improvement. I think that's a better term. How do I continuously improve? I'm not failing, I'm learning to get better.
Right. Well, the other thing that would be a good topic later on is looking at your bio and website is revenue streams. You have consulting, you have the podcast. Um, what was the other? Oh, the book, and I think there might be one more. And a lot of people have to understand that a lot of people that are rich, they don't own just one company. They might have 10% of the companies
Mhm.
where they where they have their investment, and that's where they make the money. So if one company fails, you still have nine other companies that you're getting revenue from. So you have a book, which is good, and then the consulting. Your consulting setup is great. I'll have to learn that or ask you about it later. Um, all that stuff is great. I signed up for your webinar on the 30th, and it comes back and tells me that I'm all signed up, all that kind of stuff. And those things are skills that you have to learn.
Mhm.
What's best, and then you find out this is better. This calendar's better than this one, and that's what I try and tell. And I think you do tell people that listen. You got to try different things, and that's where you, as you stated, how you improve. and
Hmm.
it's not just failing. I think improving would be the more positive way to look at it. Is you want to improve. How's that?
I like, yeah,
So you said
positive
you hit it.
thinking.
What's that? What's that?
Positive thinking, positive language, positive
Right, right,
narrative.
right. Yeah, because we can all get negative. I mean, it happens. But improving, I think, is the key term to keep thinking about. Is you have to improve. So, but the next time we should talk about uh, revenue streams would be a good one because I don't know, like a book and so forth. I don't know which one would be the best one. The podcasting is going to take a while. Affiliate marketing is going to take a while.
Mhm.
Uh, the book, I don't know if you're having a lot of luck with that or how you have to market it, but anything of these books or whatever, you just can't let it sit there. You really have to market it.
Yeah.
I think so. So I don't.
Yeah, I think we lost Craig. So while he's off, I'll talk a little bit about that. But I think it's a great topic for another episode. And if you are trying to build your own venture, whether you're building a coaching business or a consulting business, or you're just trying to, you find your purpose, and maybe your purpose is to empower as many people as possible to have a plant-based life, so eating, but also in terms of the clothing and things of that sort. And so in looking at different revenue streams, you might think about publishing a cookbook, a plant-based cookbook. Maybe there's a podcast focused on healthy eating. Maybe there's a YouTube channel that's also focused on healthy eating, and maybe you're in the kitchen cooking recipes. Maybe then you have your coaching clients. That's another revenue stream. I'm talking about a few revenue streams while you're coming back on. um,
Right.
and then so you can look at books, podcasting, YouTube video tutorials, and coaching people on how to have a healthy plant-based living. So you can come up with different ways to help us become better in that area while creating other revenue streams. But then there are other things you can do to make money, because the truth is all of this costs money. If you're podcasting, you have to pay for subscriptions. If you're YouTubing, you might have to pay for some equipment, and maybe you need some editing software. And so you have to think about, how am I going to pay for a lot of these things? And that's where sponsorship helps. That's where affiliate work, like with Amazon Associates, works as well. And then some of us have other revenue streams. So I have work outside of all of this. I have real estate as well that generates some income, and some other ventures. So it's not just one thing. My eggs are in a lot of different baskets, but they're all baskets I love.
Well, oh, by the way, when I'm dealing with the internet in the motel room, so
I
sometimes it
know.
goes in and out, but I can hear, I can
Okay,
hear
good,
you and
good.
see you. What's that?
No, I said good. I wasn't sure if you had completely left. So I was like, well, it looks like Craig might have left. And I kind of talk about that question that we're on, or that topic. So it's good
Yeah.
to know you could hear us.
No, I can hear you. I can hear you and see, and I agree. It's just the internet in the motel room isn't that strong. But anyway, I agree with the different revenue streams and everything, and you got to put a lot of work in it. Like a lot of YouTube people that I said, they say that they work real hard at it, but that's their passion. So it's not really like a job to them. It's their passion. So it works out for them. I I really enjoyed this. I'm learning more on how to use StreamYard. I will have to get a internet booster so I don't go in and out of the scene here, so I'm not off the screen. But it is what it is. Is there anything else that you want to add? And then we'll schedule another time. We'll talk about other topics. But this
I
this I think worked very well.
Yes, this was a great conversation. I think we have some great topics we could cover in other sessions, including different revenue streams, and really jumping a little bit more into that, and a little bit more on tips for social media and marketing for podcasters and vodcasters. We talked about Linktree, but we could talk about all these sources and pros and cons, and the ones that are free versus paid. and things of that sort. So we definitely have some great topics that we can bring out there to help others who are in these networks or try to learn or start or grow any new venture, whether it's a new small business, a side hustle, or whether you're just passionate about something you want to podcast or publish. And we can definitely do a session on self-publishing also.
Okay, great. And what I'm going to do is after we get off, I'll pull the audio out and so forth. I'll get this over to you, and then we'll see what we have to do the next time. I'm really glad that I met up with you on Podcast Movement.
Me too.
I think you got a lot. I think you have a lot of things going, and I think I said to you before, we have a big age difference, but I think it'll work for both of us. So
Age is nothing but
hopefully
a
we'll
number.
keep on. And the people that are listening, what's nothing but a number?
Age is nothing but
Well,
a
I don't know. It
number.
depends. I do get. I'll let you know after I do like 60 miles this weekend on the bike if age is just a number. But anyway,
Wow.
what you're
60 miles. I'm
well,
impressed.
I told you about it after I lost the weight and stuff. But we'll talk about that later. Well, I'm going to say goodbye to you, and hopefully, we'll get a lot of people that downloaded our audio and the podcast, and we'll go from there. You have a great day.
You too. And if anyone sees or listens to this, you have my website there. In my website, you can definitely get my contact information, my social media handles, and my email. So any questions, please, I'm here to help anyone who needs it.
That was a good sales pitch. I like that. I'll I'll see you.
I'll see you later. Thank you, Craig, for this time
Okay.
together.